Hello, fellow executive board members. It is that time of the year to where we do the APHA Executive Directors evaluation. For many of you, this is your first time doing the evaluation. For others, you've gone through this process before. The purpose of this evaluation is to assess the executive director's performance through a process that has integrity, objectivity, and process provides constructive value to the executive director and the executive board as a whole as we think about the role of the executive director. The process of this is the executive director will actually complete their self-evaluation. As part of this packet. You should see the self-evaluation that the executive director has. The executive board members will then receive um, additional information, and much of this information will be based off of past executive board meetings where the executive director and or his staff have presented on different milestones that are part of the goals of the executive director to really help complete that evaluation. One thing to note is there's a lot of things that have been happening within public health and specifically within APHA over the past couple of years, and specifically this year. And so it is important to make sure you do look back at the folders we have around some of the material that the executive director and or the staff have presented to make sure that you can truly evaluate the executive director and his performance overall in really running APHA. Myself, as the chair of the executive board personnel committee, will report the results after everyone is done filling out. The way we have actually done this is when it comes to the assessment, and this is a different scale for the use of appraisal, is exceeding expectations. So the goal was met and actually went above and beyond. And for many of our goals, we did add measures. So either 5 or 10 or 20 XYZ was done. Achieved fully, where the executive director met that goal. Achieved partially, um, and or unforeseen circumstances where, as I said, a lot has happened within public health this year. And so the executive board met that goal, but maybe partially due to unforeseen circumstances within the political environment. And also partially, where the executive partially met as the executive director partially met that goal. And keep in mind, some of these goals do have an end date that is past the time that you were actually doing the evaluation. And so you can put achieve partially if you see that there has been progress towards that goal. And we will keep that in mind, especially if it's a goal that only can be accomplished by the end of the year. You can say NA, not applicable, and we'll make sure to mark some of those that are not applicable. And the last outside of partially is not achieved, and where the executive director did not achieve this goal. You'll have a couple of weeks to complete this. It does take some time. So, in past iterations, it takes usually about 30 to 45 minutes. So, just carve out some time over the weekend and the afternoon, look at some of the material. A lot of the information is something that you should, as a board member, be able to evaluate quickly. And in each and every single area, we will also have comment boxes if you need to add additional context to your answer as part of the review. And as I mentioned before, all this will be compiled and be presented at the annual meeting or right before the annual meeting, I should say, during our executive board session. And we'll discuss and talk about some of the ratings that we are getting, and then fully do the review in which I, as the chair of the personnel committee, will give the final review to the executive director during the annual meeting, and also suggestions of future new performance goals for the following year for the next chair of the personnel committee to review and look into and take this forward. So thank you for being part of this process. If you have any questions, feel free to come talk to me. With that, I have fun filling out this evaluation and look forward to hearing your feedback on our executive director of the American Public Health Association.